On March 15, 1955, Albert Einstein wrote a letter about death. In it, he made one of the most unsettling claims in the history of science, that death, as you understand it, does not exist. He told the grieving family of his closest friend that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Physicists have spent 7 decades trying to prove him wrong. None have succeeded. And the reason why should fundamentally change how you think about the last day of your life. Most people believe death is an ending, a line. You exist on one side and then you don't. Your heart stops. Your brain goes dark. The people you love stand over your body and say goodbye. That is the story every culture on Earth has told for thousands of years. It feels obvious. It feels like fact. What physics says, and this is not fringe speculation, this comes directly from the most tested, most confirmed theory in the history of science, is that every moment you have ever lived still exists, right now. The morning you were born, the afternoon you learned to ride a bicycle, the Tuesday in 1987 when you burned dinner and laughed about it. According to the mathematics of Einstein's relativity, none of those moments have vanished. They are as real as the chair you're sitting in. This idea has a name. Physicists call it the block universe, and it is not a metaphor. It is the direct mathematical consequence of special relativity, a theory confirmed to 12 decimal places of precision. GPS satellites in orbit right now use this theory to calculate your position on Earth. It works. But Einstein himself refused to push this idea to its final, most disturbing conclusion. He hinted at it. He wrote around it. He used it to comfort a grieving family. But he never published a formal statement addressing the one question the block universe forces you to ask. The question that still divides physicists today. And that question is this. If every moment of your life still exists, what exactly happens when you die? To understand why this question terrifies physicists, you first need to understand what Einstein actually proved about time. Not what you think he proved. What the math shows. In 1905, working alone in a small apartment in Bern, Switzerland, a 26-year-old patent clerk published a paper that dismantled 3 centuries of assumptions about reality. His name was Albert Einstein. His theory was special relativity, and its most radical prediction had nothing to do with speed or energy. It had to do with simultaneity, the idea that 2 events can happen at the same time. Here is the simplest way to grasp this. Imagine you are standing in a field. A lightning bolt strikes a tree 1 mile to your left. At the exact same instant, another bolt strikes a tree 1 mile to your right. You see both flashes at the same time. To you, they happen simultaneously. Now imagine your neighbor is driving past in a car, moving toward the tree on the right. Because she is moving toward the right-hand flash, she sees it a fraction of a second before the left-hand flash. To her, the right bolt struck first. She is not wrong. You are not wrong. Both of you are correct. There is no universal same time. The order of events depends on who is observing them and how they are moving. This is not a thought experiment anymore. It has been measured. In 1971, physicists Joseph Haefel and Richard Keating placed cesium atomic clocks on commercial aeroplanes, flew them around the world, and compared them to identical clocks on the ground. The clocks disagreed. Time had passed differently depending on motion. The results matched Einstein's equations to within 10%, and later experiments at the National Institute of Standards and Technology confirmed time dilation with accuracy to 1 part in 100 trillion. Think about what this means for your life. If there is no universal now, if your present moment is someone else's past and another observer's future, then past, present, and future are not fundamentally different categories. They are perspectives. Like north, south, east, west. Your now depends on where you stand and how fast you're moving. Nothing more. Hermann Minkowski, Einstein's former mathematics professor, understood this immediately. In 1908, at a conference in Cologne, Germany, he announced, "Henceforth, space by itself and time by itself are doomed to fade away into mere shadows, and only a kind of union of the two will preserve an independent reality." He called this union space-time. And in space-time, your entire life, every breath, every heartbeat, every moment, exists as a fixed structure, like a sculpture, like a crystal. Your future is already there. Your past hasn't gone anywhere. This is the block universe. And here is the part that keeps physicists awake at night. If the block universe is real, then death is not a moment when you cease to exist. It is simply a boundary in the structure. The moments before it are still there. The moments after it contain a universe where your atoms have dispersed. But those atoms carry the same energy they always did. Nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. But here's what nobody talks about, and what Einstein himself never fully addressed. If every moment of your life is permanently embedded in the fabric of space-time, does that mean you still exist in some meaningful sense? Or is the block universe just a cold mathematical fact with no bearing on what it actually feels like to die? That distinction is precisely where the argument begins. The letter Einstein wrote to the Besso family in March 1955 is one of the most analyzed documents in the history of physics. Michele Besso had been Einstein's closest friend for over 50 years. They met as students. They worked together at the Swiss Patent Office. Einstein credited Besso by name in his 1905 relativity paper, the only person he thanked. When Besso died on March 15, 1955, Einstein was already dying himself. An abdominal aortic aneurysm was slowly rupturing inside his body. He had weeks left. He knew it. And in that state, facing his own death, he wrote to Besso's family, "Now he has departed from this strange world a little ahead of me. That means nothing. People like us, who believe in physics, know that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." Read those words again. That means nothing. Not, "I'm sorry for your loss." Not, "He's in a better place." Einstein said Besso's death means nothing, because physics itself says past, present, and future all exist. Besso hadn't gone anywhere. He was still there, embedded in the space-time structure, living every moment of his life as permanently as a fossil pressed into stone. Einstein died 33 days later, on April 18, 1955. When doctors offered him surgery to repair the aneurysm, he refused. His exact words, according to his hospital records, "I want to go when I want. It is tasteless to prolong life artificially. I have done my share. It is time to go. I will do it elegantly." If you have ever woken up at 3 a.m. with a sudden awareness of your own mortality, that cold, electric feeling in your chest that says, "One day I will not exist," then you need to understand what Einstein was really saying. He was not being brave. He was not being philosophical. He was applying physics. The same physics that makes your phone's GPS work. The same physics that tells particle accelerators at CERN how to smash protons together at 99.9999991% the speed of light. But, and this is critical, some physicists reject this interpretation entirely. The research is still evolving on this, but there is a significant camp, led by thinkers like physicist Lee Smolin at the Perimeter Institute in Canada, who argue that time is not an illusion, that the now is real, that the future does not yet exist. Smolin published a book in 2013 called Time Reborn, arguing that the block universe is a mathematical artifact, not physical reality. He believes the flow of time is fundamental, and that treating it as an illusion is the single biggest mistake in modern physics. So who is right, Einstein and the block universe, or Smolin and the reality of time? Depending on who you ask, the answer changes everything about what death means. If this is making sense, and you want the answer physicists are converging on right now, along with what it means for your body, your consciousness, and your final moments, subscribe now. Because that section is coming in the next 4 minutes, and it is the reason I made this video. Here is what makes this debate so unusual in science. Both sides agree on the math. Both sides accept special relativity. The disagreement is not about equations. It is about what the equations mean. And that question, what does the math mean for death, is the one Einstein put in a letter, hinted at in private conversations, but never published a formal answer to. He left it open, and it has haunted physics ever since. What almost nobody talks about is the second half of this problem. Because even if the block universe is true, even if every moment of your life is permanently fixed in space-time, there is still the question of why you experience time moving forward. Why does it feel like you are sliding through the block, moment by moment, toward death? This is the arrow of time problem, and it is arguably the deepest unsolved question in all of physics. Here is why it's so strange. Almost every fundamental law of physics works the same way forward and backward. If you filmed two particles colliding and played the footage in reverse, the physics would be identical. Newton's laws work in reverse. Maxwell's equations work in reverse. Even quantum mechanics, at its most fundamental level, is time symmetric. There is nothing in the basic equations of physics that says time must move in one direction, and yet it does. For you, for everyone you know, for every living thing on Earth. You remember the past. You cannot remember the future. Your body ages in one direction only. Eggs break, they do not unbreak. Coffee cools, it does not spontaneously reheat. The Austrian physicist Ludwig Boltzmann proposed an answer to this in the 1870s. He connected the arrow of time to entropy, a measure of disorder. The second law of thermodynamics states that entropy in a closed system always increases. Things move from order to disorder. A sandcastle becomes a pile of sand. A living body becomes dust. This, Boltzmann argued, is why time has a direction. You move forward because the universe moves toward greater disorder. But here is the part that should stop you cold. Boltzmann's explanation only works if the universe started in a state of extraordinarily low entropy. Physicists call this the past hypothesis. It means the Big Bang, 13.8 billion years ago, produced a universe that was astonishingly ordered. And everything since then, including your life, including your death, is the universe slowly falling apart. Your death is not a failure of your body. It is the second law of thermodynamics expressing itself through your biology. Your cells accumulate damage. Your DNA copies degrade. Your mitochondria lose efficiency. All of it is entropy. All of it is the universe doing what it has done since the first microsecond, moving from order towards disorder. Historians still argue whether Einstein fully accepted this connection between entropy and the experience of death. In his private notebooks, he wrote extensively about thermodynamics, but he never published a paper connecting the block universe, where all moments exist, with the arrow of time, which says your experience of those moments has a direction. He left the two ideas sitting side by side, unreconciled. The Nobel laureate Roger Penrose, working at Oxford, has spent decades on this problem. In his 2010 book, Cycles of Time, he proposed something extraordinary, that when the universe reaches maximum entropy, when all structure is gone, all stars have died, all black holes have evaporated, the conditions become mathematically identical to the conditions of a new Big Bang. A new universe begins. The cycle repeats. Penrose calls this conformal cyclic cosmology. Some scientists dispute this, however. The evidence remains indirect and contested. But the implication is staggering. If Penrose is right, then not only is your life permanently embedded in the block universe, but the block universe itself may be one chapter in an infinite series. Death is not even an ending within an ending. It is a boundary, inside a structure that has no final edge. So the question becomes, if your body is subject to entropy, but your existence is fixed in spacetime, and spacetime itself may cycle forever, what is death exactly? And is there anything you can do with this knowledge while you are still alive? There is no protocol that can make you immortal, no supplement, no exercise, no meditation technique. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. But there are specific, evidence-based actions that change how your body interacts with entropy. Actions that, according to the physics we've discussed, would alter the structure of your section of the block universe. Step 1. Understand your thermodynamic budget. Your body generates roughly 100 watts of power at rest, about the same as a light bulb. That energy comes from metabolizing food into ATP in your mitochondria. A 2017 study from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging in Novato, California, found that mitochondrial efficiency declines by roughly 5% per decade after age 30. By 70, your cells are producing energy with the efficiency of an engine from 1940. You can slow this. Dr. Martin Brand at the Buck Institute has shown that regular aerobic exercise, as little as 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 days per week, maintains mitochondrial membrane potential and slows the rate of entropy increase in your tissues. This is not metaphor. This is thermodynamics applied to your biology. Step 2. Reduce your informational entropy. In physics, entropy measures the number of possible states a system can occupy. In your brain, this translates to noise. Chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and information overload increase neural entropy. Your brain's signal-to-noise ratio degrades. A 2019 study at the University of Cambridge, led by Dr. Emmanuel Stamatakis, found that adults over 50 who engaged in 20 minutes of focused, single-task cognitive work daily showed measurably lower neural entropy on fMRI scans than matched controls who multitasked. The practical instruction: spend 20 minutes every morning doing one thing: reading a physical book, solving a crossword, writing a letter by hand. No screens, no interruptions. Your brain needs periods of low entropy to maintain its structure. Step 3. Confront the question directly. This one is not biological, it is psychological. A 2014 study from the University of Missouri, published in the journal Death Studies, found that adults over 60 who spent structured time contemplating their own mortality, even just 15 minutes per week of written reflection, reported significantly lower anxiety, higher life satisfaction, and greater engagement with daily activities. The researchers called this mortality salience without avoidance. You do not run from the question Einstein raised. You sit with it. Step 4. Build your temporal footprint. If the block universe is real, then every action you take is permanent. Not metaphorically permanent, physically permanent. The conversation you have with your grandchild today exists in space-time forever. The kindness you show a stranger at the grocery store is embedded in the structure of reality. Dr. Dean Buonamano, a neuroscientist at UCLA and author of Your Brain is a Time Machine, has argued that this perspective, taking the block universe seriously, can fundamentally alter how people make daily decisions. When you understand that nothing you do disappears, your choices carry a different weight. If even one of these steps was new to you, hit like. It tells the algorithm to show this to more people who need it. Here is what Einstein left us with. Not an answer, a question. The most honest, most terrifying, most beautiful question a physicist has ever asked. Does the distinction between life and death hold up under the laws of physics? He didn't answer it in his papers. He answered it in a letter to a grieving family 33 days before he died. And his answer was no. The distinction does not hold. Past, present, and future are equally real. Bessel was still there, and Einstein, who knew his own death was imminent, believed he would be too. Some physicists find this comforting. The physicist Sabine Hossenfelder has said publicly that the block universe gives her peace about death, that knowing every moment of her life permanently exists changes how she experiences the present. Others, like Lee Smolin, find it cold, even dangerous, a way of stripping meaning from the choices you make right now. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What was the one thing in this video you wish you'd known 10 years ago? And I'd bet most of you have felt that 3 a.m. flash of mortality terror, but never had the physics vocabulary to articulate what was really happening in your mind. Tell me about that too. The truth is, physics does not care about your comfort. It cares about what is real. And what is real, according to the most rigorously tested theory humans have ever produced, is that your life does not vanish. It remains fixed, permanent, a structure in the four-dimensional fabric of everything that has ever been. Einstein knew this. He knew it when he wrote that letter. He knew it when he refused surgery, saying, "I will do it elegantly." He knew it when he spoke his final words in German to a night nurse who did not understand the language, words that were lost forever. Or were they? If the block universe is real, those words still exist, right now, in a hospital room in Princeton, New Jersey, at 1:15 in the morning on April 18, 1955. You do not lose your life. You leave a shape in time. Share this with someone who needs it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you should. What's coming next week is something I've been researching for months. The moments are all still there, every one of them, including this one.